evening, everyone, and welcome to Phi Alpha Delta's virtual initiation and recommitment ceremony. We are pleased to be initiating nearly 200 members tonight and recommitting as well. We're very excited to have you all here. My name is Emily Baranowski, and I'm Phi Alpha Delta's Deputy Director. We have just a few notes and remarks before we get started with our ceremony this evening. First, just some quick housekeeping items. Please, as I noted in the chat, everyone is currently muted, and we are going to keep everyone on mute until it is time to affirm the oath near the end of the ceremony. So you'll know when that happens. We'll let you know. We are currently recording this ceremony, and we will have the recording available on request at a later time. It should be earlier next week. Please note too that closed captioning is available for those members who would like to use that service. If you go down to the bottom of the Zoom controls, there should be an option for you to turn subtitles on for anyone who prefers to participate with subtitles as opposed to audio sound. Reminder as well, you guys got this information in your confirmation email, but if you'd like to request the mailing of your initiation materials, please do refer to that email you received with the link for instructions on doing that. If you have any questions on receiving your materials or your membership in general, please contact our Director of Membership, Katie Gibbs, at katie@pad.org. Her email is in the chat. We'd like to thank you all for being here and to thank everyone who assisted with setting up tonight's event, particularly Katie Gibbs, who did quite a lot of work in getting everyone settled. And we'd also like to thank the Phi Alpha Delta Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Council. Members of the DEI Council are serving as our officiants for this evening, and I'm pleased to introduce them all to you now. First, our officiating justice is Pega Yazdi Gorman, District Justice of District 23, Vice Chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, the Vice Justice of the Robert E. Redding National Capital Area Alumni Chapter, and an alum of Brandeis Chapter. Pega is an attorney based out of Washington, D.C. Also joining us is Dana Ashcraft, District Justice of District 8, and member of Vaught Chapter and the Central Oklahoma Alumni Chapter. She joins us tonight from Norman, Oklahoma. We are also pleased to have with us Nicole Gritta, International Vice Justice, Sanford Chapter, joining us from Memphis, Tennessee. Finally, we have Daphne Saneville of Pembroke Pines, Florida. Daphne is Chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, member of Christiansey Chapter and the Fort Lauderdale-Broward County Alumni Chapter. As Chair, Daphne will share a few words about the Council's work and upcoming plans. Daphne?
Thank you, Emily, and thank you to everybody, and congratulations a little soon, but not too soon. So Daphne Saneville, I am an alumni of this illustrious chapter and chair of our DEI Council. And simply put, we are working to better serve the profession and the community by enhancing and strengthening, fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion within the fraternity. So the council is currently reviewing and developing policies and procedures to further support the resolutions that were adopted at the 63rd Biennial Convention and Leadership Conference. More information about those resolutions, our mission, our goals, our subcommittees, our committee, and our council can be found in the chat that Liz has put in there. It's pad.org/diversity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daphne, and thank you for all of the council's hard work. We will now proceed with the ceremony. Justice Pega, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you all for being here. The purpose of this meeting is the initiation of new members into our fraternity. This is a proud and happy occasion for Phi Alpha Delta, as the benefits of membership in Phi Alpha Delta and active participation in fraternity activities will now be possible for a new group of members. On behalf of the chapter, I extend a cordial welcome to our prospective members and their guests. I ask that your careful attention and earnest consideration of our statement of principles, which follows.
Justice Pega, I am pleased to present the following new members for membership in Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International. There were some names that did not appear in the video, so I will read them and their chapters. Pardon if I mispronounce. Elisha Azizi, Clark Atlanta University Pre-Law Chapter. Lucy Chandler, Clay Chapter. Maya Courtney, Georgia State University Pre-Law Chapter. Weston Cox, Hardy Chapter. Molly Fassbender, University of Iowa Pre-Law Chapter. Kai Hines, Clark Atlanta University Pre-Law Chapter. Isha Hope, Georgia State University Pre-Law Chapter. Ariel Johnson, Morgan State University Pre-Law Chapter. Kirsten Key, Georgia State University Pre-Law Chapter. Lena Kajoyan, University of Nevada, Las Vegas Pre-Law Chapter. Tiffany McIver, Georgia State University Pre-Law Chapter. Zaya Moore, Clark Atlanta University Pre-Law Chapter. Daniel Rice, Boston University Pre-Law Chapter, and Jacob Tiver of Rowan University Pre-Law Chapter. I request that they be admitted into membership of Phi Alpha Delta so that the bond of fraternalism, which is the essence of Phi Alpha Delta, may be extended to each of them.
You have been invited to join with us in the membership of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International. Before we proceed, however, there is a duty which the laws of the fraternity lay upon me. I must place before you certain matters of which we request your deepest consideration. Phi Alpha Delta offers you an opportunity to translate an ideal into the practical side of your professional life. As aspiring members of Phi Alpha Delta, you must assume certain obligations and loyally fulfill them. This being so, in fairness to you and to ourselves, some indication of these obligations should necessarily be given to you at this time. The fact that you are here together is symbolic of our fraternity. With a common purpose and united by that bond, which is Phi Alpha Delta, we aid each other in finding the way to honorable professional service within the legal profession. United by that bond, we can achieve much for ourselves, for our profession, and for humanity. The attributes of integrity, compassion, and courage, complemented by professional service, are fundamental principles of Phi Alpha Delta and the indispensable ingredients of the character of a true lawyer. The other officiating officers here with me will now address these attributes.
Integrity is one of the indispensable attributes of the legal profession. It is that characteristic which makes a lawyer's service acceptable before the tribunals of our land. It is that unchanging spirit of fidelity to principles which make it possible for a true lawyer to mislead a court, distort the rule of law announced in a decided case, or deceive a client as to the strength or weaknesses of his cause. It is that undeviating loyalty to truth which makes it impossible for one lawyer to mislead another as to the status of a matter, the availability of witnesses, or the merits of a cause. It is that subordination of one's own personal gain or an advantage for one's client to a higher principle which makes candor a habit and a lawyer's word a universally accepted bond. Integrity makes each lawyer a custodian of those high principles of the legal profession, which ensure our heritage of human freedoms, individual liberties, and equal justice under law for all of our citizens. To tolerate the abridgment of these principles is to forfeit the right to declare that one is of the law, a lawyer.
Compassion and courage are two additional principles which every lawyer must possess. Compassion leads a lawyer to accept the cause of the unfortunate, the underprivileged, and those who are the object of scorn and public disfavor. Courage brings the lawyer to press these causes and to defend the rights of these persons with full abilities and a stout heart. Compassion and courage are essential if a lawyer is to be a true servant of the law for all the people. One who would serve the law and attempt less than complete loyalty to these principles is unworthy of the status of a lawyer or of membership in this fraternity.
In conjunction with the principles of integrity, compassion, and courage, and deriving strength from them is another which is required. This principle is professional service. Professional service is of vital importance in our ever-changing world and increasingly complex society. Professional competence is the capstone of a lawyer's essential structure of principles and virtues. Public trust demands the enlightened leadership which lawyers are especially well qualified to provide. If the legal profession is to fulfill its responsibilities to society, we, as lawyers, must assume the obligations of effective and competent professional service and must discharge these responsibilities with the utmost of our abilities. Only then will our free institutions survive and the principle of equal justice under law become a reality for all of humanity. Competent and effective professional service in every form is a proper complement to a lawyer's indispensable attributes of integrity, compassion, and courage, and is the essence of Phi Alpha Delta.
So that you may better understand your responsibilities as a member of Phi Alpha Delta, the chapter vice justice will now explain to you the symbolic meaning of our coat of arms.
Before you on the left side of the table is the coat of arms of our fraternity. An image of the coat of arms has also been placed in the Zoom chat for you. An understanding of the symbols of our coat of arms will give you a better understanding of the principles and ideals of Phi Alpha Delta and of your responsibilities as a member of our fraternity. The Book of Law, located at the right side of the shield, typifies the immortal and undying spirit, which is in truth the law, to which all precedents must bow and all rules conform. May this spirit, which is the law, inspire you with an ever-abiding faith in the rule of law, which is worthy of your loyalty and support. The lamp of learning, located above the shield, signifies that only through great industry and application will true learning be acquired. To be worthy of the title, a lawyer, you must be diligent in your application to the study of law throughout your legal career. Only then will your accomplishments serve as a true guide to those who follow you. The scales of justice located on the left side of the shield represents the impartiality of the rule of law, which gives to every individual true justice without favor or distinction. You are of the law, a lawyer, only if you can judge with impartiality and fairness to all. The scroll located below the shield contains the name of our fraternity, Phi Alpha Delta, and signifies that fraternal bond which unites us into a cohesive force for the advancement of the legal profession and of our fraternity. Our name, Phi Alpha Delta, connotes the Greek phrase philos adelphos dikaios. Translated into our contemporary language, philos adelphos dikaios stands for justice is a dear brother, and in another translation, love of humanity and justice for all. Our name thus signifies the two basic precepts upon which our fraternity is founded: fraternalism, the joining together in a common spirit, and justice, that which we who have chosen the legal profession must preserve by exemplifying the principles of integrity, compassion, and courage, and by devoting our time and talent to the professional service. The column which supports and sustains all of the other symbols on the coat of arms represents our membership, whose duty it is to maintain the principles and ideas of Phi Alpha Delta and to pass them on intact to those who follow us.
So that you may have a better understanding of the principles upon which our fraternity was founded, the chapter clerk will now address you.
Phi Alpha Delta is unique in that it is the only law fraternity which was founded as a result of a legal controversy. It has grown to its size and structure today from a series of events commencing in 1897. On November 4th, 1897, the Illinois Supreme Court, without prior notice, adopted a rule retroactively affecting all new members for admission to the bar. In response, a group of law students formed the Law Student League with the avowed purpose of obtaining an exemption for those students who had commenced their legal education prior to the adoption of this rule. The League was successful in obtaining passage by the Illinois legislature of an act exempting these students from its provision. That organization of students was then formally organized in 1897 as Lambda Epsilon Fraternity, Lambda standing for law and Epsilon for equity. It soon became apparent that this type of organization had universal appeal and that its benefits should be made available to all members of the legal profession. Accordingly, Lambda Epsilon Fraternity was dissolved by unanimous action of the Third Biennial Convention, meeting at the Colonial Tavern in South Haven, Michigan. On the next day, July 27th, 1902, the Articles of South Haven, which were to be the foundation of Phi Alpha Delta, were adopted by those in attendance. At a subsequent meeting in Chicago, the Articles, a constitution, ritual, and rules to govern the new organization were formally adopted. The name Phi Alpha Delta was chosen, denoting a continued bond.
All right, I think we've lost our clerk. Apologies. We will continue.
Denoting a continuing bond of friendship
Thank you.
among members of the Law Student League and Lambda Epsilon fraternity and of the new fraternity. By 1910, the number of chapters had grown to 23. In 1969, the fraternity chartered its first active chapters outside the boundaries of the United States and with the establishment of chapters in Canada and Puerto Rico. In 1972, Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity, the leading law fraternity for women, was by joint resolution merged into Phi Alpha Delta, and 5,000 leading women judges, lawyers, educators, and law students became members of Phi Alpha Delta, thus growing from a tiny nucleus originating in a legal controversy at the turn of the century. Phi Alpha Delta has achieved a position of preeminence among the law fraternities. As you become members of Phi Alpha Delta, we ask your aid and support to ensure that our fraternity and its principles will endure into the future, as it has in the past, with the aid of those who have preceded you as members of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International.
You have now heard our statement of those principles and ideals which must dominate the professional activities of a member of Phi Alpha Delta, and indeed of every member of the legal profession. To signify your acceptance of these principles and ideas as your own, I will now administer to you the oath of membership in Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International. Please raise your right hand. I will now read the oath of membership in its entirety. I solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will support the laws and legal precepts of my country and of its legal entities, that I will respect their courts and obey their legal mandates, that I will be just and honorable in all my professional activities and will be faithful to those whom I represent, and that I will support the policies and principles of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International insofar as they do not conflict with my religious or civil duties. I will now ask that you all unmute yourselves. I will then ask, do you so promise and swear? And you will all answer yes. So with everyone unmuted, do you so promise and swear?
Yes.
Promise and swear.
Swear.
Yes.
You said promise.
Yes.
You.
Oh.
Great, thank you.
All right, Pega, there you go.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Thank you. In this virtual world, there is not an official role of a chapter for you to sign. Normally, this would signify your formal entry into the membership of this chapter. Instead, your names will be virtually entered into the roll of Phi Alpha Delta and your respective chapters. If we were in person, you would also now receive the fraternal greeting of the fraternity, which consists of a normal handshake with the index finger extended along the wrist of the other member touching the pulse. This greeting is symbolic of the bond of fraternalism, which Phi Alpha Delta exemplifies. As we cannot shake hands with you across a Zoom screen, please instead view this photo showing the fraternal handshake being given by past International Justice Stan Cohn. If you're not familiar with Stan Cohn, he was International Justice from 1984 to 1985. Unfortunately, he was killed halfway through his term as International Justice. At each convention, we hold a reception which is named after Stan. The annual Outstanding Chapter competition of our law school chapters is also named in his honor. Members of Phi Alpha Delta, I take you all to witness that the new members here present have been duly initiated into our fraternity and chapter, have taken the oath of membership, and will be entered into the official roll of their chapters. Now, by virtue of the authority vested in me, I declare you members of Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International and of your respective chapters of the fraternity. I hereby invest you with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereto. On behalf of all members of Phi Alpha Delta, I extend to you a cordial welcome into our fraternity. We are happy to have you join with us in furthering the principles and ideals of Phi Alpha Delta. Daphne Saneville, the chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, will now say a few words about our council.
Thank you, Justice Pega, and congratulations to all our new initiates and renewals. So the DEI Council is working to better serve our profession and community by enhancing and strengthening, fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion within the fraternity. We're doing this by meeting on a monthly basis in subcommittee, steering committee, and council forum, And as we meet, we are reviewing, developing policies and procedures to further support the resolutions that were passed at the 63rd Biennial Convention and Leadership Conference last year. So more information about the resolution, what the DEI Council is about, and if you would like to join a subcommittee to help foster innovative ideas, go to pad.org/diversity. And we can put that in the chat and you can indicate your interest. We'd love to have you, and we'd love to hear new ideas on what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Daphne. Your initiation into Phi Alpha Delta is now completed, and you are now full members with us in Phi Alpha Delta. I charge each of you to hold foremost in mind the principles and ideals to which you have subscribed today. With your help, Phi Alpha Delta can remain a real, living force for the advancement of our profession and also of humanity. We have gathered here today to advance in this meeting the principles and ideals of Phi Alpha Delta by the initiation of the new members present here with us. The admission of our new members will ensure the future of Phi Alpha Delta and of our chapter, and we are indeed proud to have them join us in Phi Alpha Delta. In adjourning this meeting, let us do so with a firm resolve that our new members will be made welcome into our midst as full members of this fraternity and chapter. I now declare this meeting of the Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International adjourned. Thank you. Now, before we end, some words from the executive office.
Thank you, Pega, and thank you again to the DEI Council for officiating tonight's ceremony. We are so happy to have you guys with us. If you, like Daphne said, if you would like to hear more about the DEI Council's work and how you can be involved, please do visit that link that has been shared in the chat. If you would also like to volunteer for other opportunities in Phi Alpha Delta, we'll be sending out our volunteer link as well. So there are a lot of ways to get involved in various councils and ways to craft the future of the fraternity. So please don't be afraid to get involved. It's open to everyone. You guys were just initiated. Now's a great time to jump in and help out with things. As I mentioned earlier this evening, please refer to the email you received with the original meeting link for information on how to request your membership materials. Please contact Director of Membership Katie Gibbs at katie@pad.org if you have any questions. Rest assured, for all of those who messaged me, if we did not make your name in the video or wasn't able to read it out loud, I do apologize if we missed you, but rest assured you are counted as initiated. We do have your name from the Zoom chat, so you are all set and good to go. Thank you guys so much for letting me know if that was the case. And finally, for those who have asked, we did record this session and we will be able to have it available sometime next week. So we will follow up with you guys on that. And last note, for those who have asked as well, the initiation ritual that was used tonight is available to all members. I encourage you to check out the resources and policies page of pad.org, which we will share with you in just a moment. The pre-law, law, and alumni chapter initiation script is available if you want to take a look and reread some of the oath and the history of Phi Alpha Delta and share it with your fellow members. So congratulations again to all of our initiates. Thank you for all of you guys for taking the time to be here tonight. We really appreciate all of you being here and getting to see everyone. In a normal situation, the executive office doesn't get to see initiations very often. So this is the one benefit to this system. We have a safe and pleasant evening, and good night, everybody.